Are you looking to grow intimacy and spiritually with God? This is, first of all, one of the best places that you can be. And I'm going to talk to you about how we can do that. So, I had a funny story. I teach middle school science. And so I'm in a class in my classroom at one point, and as a technology safety for teachers, on my computer, I can see all of my students' screens on their computer just to make sure they're not doing anything crazy. And I have a lot of Christian students, which I love so much. And I mean, I love all my students. I just love that they share their faith in Christianity. They wear t-shirts and necklaces and all the things, and we connect on that. But I had one student and I could see her screen on my screen, and she was making a digital vision board. And one of her things, her main thing was grow in intimacy with God. And I loved that. It was a seventh grader, this little 12-year-old little girl in the beginning stages of her life, desiring to have intimacy with God. And really, it's one of my favorite topics. It's actually the topic that I speak about on stages the most. And I lead people through this connection because God really brought me from no intimacy with anybody to intimacy and connection with Him. And so He really showed me what it looks like to have intimacy, what it looks like to create the safety. And I learned just the human level of what your heart needs in order to grow in intimacy. And so I'm going to break that down for you because I want this for you too. Okay. So the first thing is intimacy. And this is not mine. This is common, like, I don't know, phrasing for it. And sometimes I hate it and sometimes I like it, but it's fine. Intimacy is into me, you see. And that's a great description because it really kind of portrays the beginning stages of intimacy. I like to explain it as holding your heart out in front of the one that you love, in front of the one that you trust, God, who made you, who loves you, who is gentle, who's kind. And it's revealing in vulnerability. So there is some fear there, but it's revealing, allowing God to see into you. He sees. It's revealing your heart to Him, and it's holding it out in this vulnerable place, because really with intimacy, it's really only made for very few people, like true intimacy. And I'm not talking about sexual here, obviously, but as humans, we can really only maybe entertain 4 or 5 relationships of really close intimacy because it's vulnerable. It's really revealing ourselves, and the other person reveals themselves. And it's in this intimate connection of vulnerability where we build relationships and we build trust. And so you have to be willing. If you're not in that space with God, don't worry about it. God knows what it's going to take to build the safety and build the trust for you to go on this journey. It's not a one and done. It's not just, okay, I'm holding my heart out for you to see, but there's like a softness and a gentleness to it. There's a little bit of nuance there. It's the first time I held my heart out, and I share this on stage all the time because I really kind of winced. I had experienced so much pain from the church, from my parents, from teachers, from humanity, that the first stages of God saying, put your walls down, allow me into this deep, intimate space with you. I built up enough courage to kind of say, like, I mean, my face was even like this, where it's like, oh, you're like, are you going to hurt me? That's the question in this face, is like, are you going to hurt me? Ooh, like, I'm scared, but you're willing to risk a little bit, put your heart out there. And that's the only step that you need to take, because I guarantee you, on the other side of that, you're going to allow God to show up and reveal Himself to you. And so in that, I'm not going to spoil it for you, because that's an intimate connection you get to have with your Father. And it's going to be so personal to you that I don't even know what it's going to be. But I do know that He is trustworthy, and He is safe, and He is kind, and He's gentle, and He's caring, and He's compassionate. And what we learn, what the truth that happens in those moments as you surrender, you invite Him into intimacy. God, look what's going on in my heart. And I envision this heart that's like, has pain, or is, a big gaping wound, or sorry, but like mucousy pus in it. Like if you have wounds in your heart that are unhealed, if you have shame, if you have fear and insecurities, it's like all these categories of your heart that it's really like red and throbbing and not in a state of health. It's like revealing that to him and allowing him to come in. And I said this earlier too, that God, his presence is a healing balm for the pain in your heart. So yes, you have a gaping wound in your heart. And I'm sorry about that. And I know the instinct is to cover it up and to kind of to like, no, I don't want you to see this. But I promise that if we can reveal it to God, we can share that intimacy with God, that when he shows up, he knows the exact ointment, the care, the gentleness, and how to handle your heart wounds. And when he shows up, his presence is that healing balm. It soothes the redness. It releases the infection. It stitches up places of your heart. And there are some heart wounds that cut deeper. I've had those wounds too, where it's, I kept going to God, with the same heart wound, because it was deep. It cut me deep. And it's okay. Like God will show up every single time and partner with you in healing that place until it is healed. So some heart wounds were superficial and they can heal pretty quickly. And some heart wounds are deep and embedded, and they take that balm, that presence, that healing. They take nurture, they take growth, and they take truth. Okay. So I just want to encourage you that he is the safest place that you can be vulnerable. He's the safest place. If you can't be intimate with anybody else in your life, and that's where I was, people were not safe for me. And I didn't know how to attract safe people. And I didn't know how to be a safe person for myself. You can actually kind of perpetuate pain if you are vulnerable with people that are not safe, because they're going to hurt you. And then you're going to think, I cannot be vulnerable or intimate with anybody. And it's not true. It was actually in that journey of being intimate with the Lord that I learned the standard of safety that someone else has to have for me to be vulnerable with them. He raised that standard of, you can share your heart with me, and this is what you can expect in return. And if someone else can't do that, then you don't share your heart over there. Hi there, I am Courtney Carlson, and I'm a Christian author and speaker, and I'm so happy that you're here. After years of trauma and abuse, the Lord led me through healing and hope and freedom, and he changed my life, just like every other Christian can share with you, because that's who God is and that's what he does. And I get to share everything that I've learned with you, and it makes me so excited and happy to do so. So I am looking for audacious, active Christian women who want to be authentic in their walk and are really looking for three things. If you are looking to grow your intimacy with God, to learn more about who he made you to be, and then third, step into your purpose and your calling with that same determination and audacity that you've brought to the table, then follow along for more. Definitely like and subscribe. I would love to lead you through those things. And if you're an event planner, or you know one, or you have a women's group or a congregation that would benefit from this work, this heart healing connection and intimacy with the Lord, I would love to bring it to a stage near you. This work is definitely so much more powerful in person, where we can connect with each other with the Holy Spirit in the room, and God's presence healing each one of our hearts. So definitely reach out if that is you, and let's get started. But when someone else can be safe for you in a moment, that's where you share your heart. Does that make sense? And so he sets the tone. He sets the standard for what it looks like to grow in intimacy with yourself, because he models, this is how you approach someone who's sharing their pain. And now you learn to do that for yourself. Okay, I'm going to approach myself that way when I'm sharing pain, and I'm going to test it and see if someone else is going to treat me that way with pain. If they're not, they don't get to know places of my heart. Okay. So I encourage you to kind of get that first courage, that first curiosity to begin to reveal yourself to the Lord. And you don't have to start with your most massive pain. You can like dip your toe in the water of the cold pool and like maybe just start with something that feels safe to you. Maybe just share something that's not as vulnerable in order to experience his presence, experience the freedom, experience the healing. And then the more you build courage and the more you feel empowered to, okay, that was good. Well, maybe I can share another risky place and I can share this shame point with him and I can share this next thing with him, and kind of let that trust and that equity build and snowball over time to the point where you are, you have this intimacy cultivated with him that we're always growing. I was going to say, so you're not growing, but you're just farther in your walk maturity level with your spirituality, is living in that constant communion and intimacy with God. It becomes easier as you learn to share yourself and you begin to experience him. Again, it's that relational equity of looking back 10 years and saying, wow, I'm actually really safe in sharing my heart, the truth, the pain, the shame, the dreams, the desires. I've shared these things with the Lord and I know him. I know how he shows up in that place. And so I'll just leave you with the things that happen in this intimacy, in this connection. We really probably will never understand as a human, but I've learned that in intimacy, in this vulnerability of connection with God, is he reveals himself. So you actually get to learn more about God in those intimate places. And he reveals more of you and who you are. So identity is built in you. Not only do we get set free from shame, we get to our pain healed, we get to know our Father more, we get to build trust in these places, but then he reveals your identity to you in those places. It's like solidified in a way. And again, there's probably so many more things that are happening in this communion and connection with the Father that we will never begin to understand. But those are just some of them. So I just encourage you to take those first steps in building intimacy with God and allowing him into those places. And again, I would love to know, so comment here or send me an email. I would love to know the encounters, the connection, the freedom, the hope, the healing that you have gone through, because I know that God has that for you. So love you so much. I will see you in the next video.